So in this video, we're going to look at the different number forms for decimals. So today we're going to look at writing different decimal numbers in standard form, word form, expanded form, and also expanded notation. And we're also going to do a little bit of a discussion about equivalent decimals. So in our first slide here, we have some seeds, and each one of those little seeds weighs 365,000 ounces. So we need to know how to write that in the other forms. Right there, it's written in standard form. So with our standard form, it's written 0.365. When we go to translate that into word form, we need to write down everything that we say into our word form. When you look at this number, it starts with a 0. When we say this number, we don't say 0 and 365,000. We just say 365,000. So we're going to start with the word 3. So in our word form, we have 365, and we end with thousandths for that decimal position. Okay, so when we look at our expanded form, we're going to take the value for each of the numbers and write it out as our long equation. So we have a 3 first. The 3 is in the tenths position, so it's worth 3/10. So there's our first value. And to that, we're going to add 6 hundredths. So we have to write out 6 hundredths. Okay, and then our last digit is 5, and that 5 is worth 5 thousandths. So we're going to write out 5 thousandths, and that is the expanded form. Now, yesterday we started talking about, or in our last video on whole numbers, we started talking about the expanded notation form. And in the expanded notation form, we use our parentheses, and we use the digit as well as the position name in order to write out our expanded notation. So for 3/10, since this is in decimals, this is going to look a little different. We have a 3 in the tenths position. So that's 3 times 1/10. Now we can write that two different ways. I'm going to do it as a decimal first. So 3 times 1/10 plus, we have our 6 and our hundredths, so we're going to write the digit 6 times 1/100th. And then our last digit is 5 in the thousands. So 5 times 1,000. And that's our expanded notation. Now, we can also, instead of writing this as decimals, we can write these as fractions, which we practiced the other day. So this could be 3 times 1/10 plus 6 times 1/100th plus 5 times 1,000. These two forms are equal to each other. They're just using it, the first one is just doing it in using decimals for the positions, and the other one is just the fractions. So let's look at this in another example. So we have the number 9.237. So we'll start with word form. When we say this number out loud, we say 9 and 237,000. So when we go to write that in word form, we start with the 9. We need to make sure we have the and for the decimal point, and then 237 thousandths. And there's our word form. Okay. Okay, now when we go into our expanded form, we're going to start with the 9 and the 1, so that is worth 9, plus we have 2/10, plus we have 3 hundredths, plus 7 thousandths. And then in expanded notation, I'm going to do it in fractions this time. We have 9 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10 plus 3 times 1/100th plus 7 times 1,000. And that is our expanded notation for this number. Okay, so for our next example, I want you to go ahead and do the word form first. Word form first, then the expanded regular, and then the expanded notation form. After you're done, I want you to come back and play the video and check your answers. Okay, guys, this is what your word form should look like. So check on your whiteboard, see if this is what you have. 7,841 and 206 thousandths. And your expanded form should look like that. And your expanded notation in using decimals for your decimal parts should be 7 times 1,000 plus 8 times 100 plus 4 times 10 plus 1 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10 plus 6 times 1,000. If you've done this as fractions, it's okay. This part would be 1/10 and this part would be 1,000. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, here's our number, 15.089. So go ahead and hit pause. I want you to do it in word form, expanded form, and expanded notation, and then come back and check your work. Okay, here's what it should look like in word form. $15 and 89 thousandths. Then in regular expanded should be 10 plus 5 plus, ooh, sorry, little typo there. Sorry about that. Should be 0.08 for 800ths, and then 9 thousandths. And then in your expanded notation, we have 1 times 10 plus 5 times 1 plus 8 times 100th plus 9 times 1,000th. And once again, if you did it in fractions, that's okay. You just need to be aware that these are equivalent to each other. Okay? On all your tests, you'll probably see them as decimals, but it's okay as long as you understand that the decimals are equal to those fractions. Okay, our last thing here is this number that's at the top. How would we read this number? Well, we would read this number as 90 thousandths. Okay? The number that's in the hundredths place is the 9, and the number in the thousandths place is the 0. Now, we've talked about annexing zeros, and having a 0 at the end of the number is one that you can have there or you can take it away. So if we take it away, we can also write this number as 9 hundredths, because 9 hundredths is equivalent to 90 thousandths. It's okay to take that 0 away. It's also okay to have it. You just need to be aware that you can annex those zeros or take them away, and you have the same exact value. Okay, so that's the end of our lesson on number forms for decimals. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, you're going to get your practice paper, and you're going to do that before you move on to the next video.